Hey everybody. This is the first time I was gonna go live. Like I haven't been live in a long time, so I had set it up to preview the live like an hour ago, and then it said it was starting, but I didn't see the webcam working, so I had to kind of scrap that idea and start again. So this is going to be a daily thing. Uh, First of all, a lot of you know who I am. I'm Scott. I'm a personal trainer, fitness instructor, nutritional studies coach. But uh, right now, I just want to focus more on the self-development and motivational aspect of what I do because we live in a time of change right now. And I think in talking with so many people that they really need a way to get motivated and a way to get unstuck. So that's really what I'm going to be focusing on in these daily posts. If you know me, you may or may not know that I deal with mental illness, bipolar disorder. So some of you may know what that is. Some of you might not know what that is, and it might kind of like freak you out. So bipolar disorder is basically a mood disorder where some days you feel really happy, and then other days you might feel like really sad, or you might be just a little sad. But the point is that it can sometimes make you feel stuck. You want to be productive, you have projects, you have goals, but then especially when you go into the low mood, you feel stuck. You can't seem to accomplish what you want to get accomplished. And even when you're high, even when you're in the high part of bipolar, sometimes your brain just won't stop. And so it's very difficult to focus on one thing. So then in the end, you also end up being a little bit stuck. So the idea of these daily videos is, you'll notice that the title of the video is Delta to Home. And the idea of that is based on, I don't know if any of you out there are Star Trek fans, but the series Star Trek Voyager was all about a starship that got stuck in the Delta quadrant of the universe by mistake. And so then, they were faced with changed circumstances and they had to find a way back home to Earth. And that series came out at a time when I was very, very stuck in life. And watching it was actually a huge help to getting me unstuck. And I'll explain that as time goes on. But I just want to lay the basis today in the first episode of Delta to Home. I want to help you to understand why these episodes are called Delta to Home. And what we're going to do is each day by day, I'm going to pull some nuggets of wisdom and some principles from a new episode of this series. So whether you know the series or not, it doesn't matter. But I do encourage you to go back and watch it so that you don't get a lot of spoilers every day as I go through the episodes. So try to watch them before I get to those episodes. But anyway, every day I'm going to pull something from a new episode and I'm going to use it to show how we can get unstuck in life. So in addition to my personal experience and my professional experience as a self-development and motivational coach, I'm going to use, because I'm a bit of a Star Trek nerd, and I hope some of you out there are as well. If you are, please post it in the comments. But yeah, I'm going to use points from those episodes to drive home the idea of how can we get unstuck? How can we get home? Wherever or whatever that means to you. What is home to you? And I think a lot of us right now don't feel home. We don't feel comfortable. There's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of stress. There's a lot of anxiety about the future, whether it's health concerns, financial concerns, or other concerns as well. So that's the idea of the posts. And the first one is the first episode of this Star Trek series was called Caretaker. And that's what, in that first series, the starship got catapulted into another part of the galaxy unexpectedly. And the captain of the starship was faced with change. Actually, everybody in the crew was faced with this change. And so decisions had to be made. And so today in the first episode, I want to focus on making solid decisions when we're faced with change. And again, I'm going to take a lot of that from that first episode and combine it with my own personal and professional experience. So what are 4 key steps when we're faced with decision? Because we all are faced with decisions right now. So the first thing is we have to accept the circumstances. And in that episode, the captain, when she realized what was going on, and that they were now in the Delta Quadrant, like 70,000 light years from Earth, she didn't complain, she didn't lament, but right away she got to work to find a solution. And so that's a key thing. We're all in a changed circumstance right now. Don't lament, don't complain, but accept the fact that times have changed. And we are where we are right now. And because we don't really know how things are going to come out on the other side of this coronavirus, we have to make decisions today. We can't wait around and see. So some of us have to make some pretty solid decisions. So that's one thing that we can take away from the first episode of Star Trek Voyager, called Caretaker. The second thing is you want to explore all your options. So don't make rash decisions, okay? So when I say, accept circumstances, I don't mean, accept them and then make a quick decision. So even though we accept the situation that we're in right now, I want you to explore all the possible options that you have, either now or in the near future. So I'll give you an example. I was talking with somebody last week or 2 weeks ago, and of course they were extremely anxious about their business and what was going to happen. And, they were talking about, okay, I'm going to have to shut down, I'm going to close, I'm going to lose everything. But in the last 2 weeks, we've seen how the government is proposing compensation packages to help businesses to survive, even to be able to keep their employees on the payroll. So that's why it's important not to make rash decisions, but we want to look at all the possible or potential options. Those that are, being provided by others, perhaps, but we can also create options too. And that's something that's important to take a look at. So in that episode of Star Trek Voyager, Caretaker, so when the captain accepted the fact that they were far from home, they were stuck in another quadrant, she went to confront the person that had catapulted the ship into that quadrant. She needed answers. So she went to look for answers as to, what was the purpose of bringing them there? And is there a possibility that this caretaker could send them back to Earth because they were so far away? She sought out alliances or those that could help. The crew didn't know anybody in the Delta Quadrant. They'd never been there before. So she met up with someone called Neelix, and she sought answers from him because he knew the area, he knew the quadrant and who might be there to be able to help. So he suggested somebody, and then they went to explore that option. They met the Ocampa, etc. And then toward the end of the first episode, she went back to the caretaker again to plea with him one last time if he could send them back to the Alpha Quadrant, where Earth is, home is. So she didn't just make a quick decision. She looked at all the options, she explored them, she pursued them, and in the end, having all that in front of her, she was able to make a decision. But the third thing, before she made the decision, was she considered everybody involved in the decision. So as the captain of a starship, of course, she was responsible for her crew, and the decision that she would make would affect the crew. That being said, in the first episode, there was a race of people that would also be affected by her decision, depending on which way she went. So she took their lives into consideration as well. And so when we need to make a decision, especially if you're in a family, your decision could affect, the rest of the family, children, a husband, a wife, etc. So we don't just want to, again, make a rash decision, but consider who all is going to be affected by this decision. And then finally, we make the decision. And the key point here is there's no turning back. So when we make a decision, a solid decision, it has to be a solid decision. When you make a decision and then you start doing what if, that's where we start to regret decisions. That's where we start to feel uncomfortable. So, but if we make a decision and we stick with that decision and we start to support it, and we might even enlist help from others to support that decision, that's where we start to make progress. So at the end of the episode 1, the captain made the decision to not sacrifice the lives of many for the lives of few. I won't say more than that in case you want to start watching Star Trek Voyager, but that was a decision that she made, and right away it was final. There was no turning back, and then they had to get to work to find a way, another way back home. So the question is, what decisions are you faced with right now because of the changed situation, COVID-19? Throw them into the comment box if you want. We can brainstorm, if you like, brainstorm what options you might have, what kinds of decisions that you could make. I'd be happy to do that with you. Tomorrow, we're going to take a look at episode 2 of Star Trek Voyager Season 1 and see what we can pull from that as well to help you get unstuck. So point 1, getting unstuck, is being able to make solid decisions. So I hope you enjoyed the first installment of Delta to Home. So just once again, the idea of Delta to Home is getting out of your own Delta quadrant where you're stuck or lost, like Star Trek Voyager was, and how to navigate your way back home. For them, it was Earth. For us, symbolically, what is home to you? Where are you trying to get to? Okay, so that's it. It's supposed to be 5 minutes. Today was a little bit of an introduction, so it went over 5 minutes. But I promise you that every day I'm going to stick to 5 minutes just to be able to give you some nuggets of wisdom in a short period of time that you can use right away. So have a good rest of the evening if you're here in Canada, and we'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye.